there's hope for us all. Our land, where there's hope for us all. We're united in our strength and resolve.
104.7 Udala Radio.
When politics unfolds, when decisions are made, we reveal the impact. Welcome to the Polity, your deep dive into the forces shaping governance, policies, and power. From the halls of government.
You were there. I was not there. Check the record. Wait now. You were there. I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They're feeling school. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Tony Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
Alright, so good morning. Our apologies for starting behind schedule a little bit. It's now 90 minutes past 9 a.m. and we are saying welcome to the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM, where we get to bring you headlines from different newspapers and then take our conversations from the topical developments in the country as they are captured by various newspapers. My name is Franklin Ebuka, and this is a Tuesday edition of this very program, this 28th day of October 2025. And of course, we are counting down to the November 8th Anambra election. From today till that very day is now 11 days. So in a matter of a week and few days, we are going to go to the polls where we get to select or choose who is going to be the governor of Anambra State in the next 4 years, because the tenure of the incumbent is going to come to an end very soon. And I must tell you that all the candidates who are seeking for our votes, they've been canvassing for our votes at different places. Yesterday, I think somewhere in I think that should be Ayamelum area, where the candidate of the Labour Party was there for votes, and then candidate of Abuga was here in Onitsha, somewhere along Oka Road to also canvass for vote, and so many other places where these candidates have been going, trying to ensure that they get to convince you that they are the best thing, better than jollof rice. And I was at a platform last week where I challenged that was the 3 candidates of different parties who came for that very event. I told them what the complaints I have brought to this platform, that I haven't seen their campaign manifestos, and guess what? Only one of them have been able to send his manifesto to them since that last week when we met. So those who have not sent, does it mean that they have not taken us seriously to deem it fit to put together a covenant between the people they are seeking to represent and themselves? But that's not the focus this very morning. We are going to look at the headlines this very morning because between the last time we were on this platform and now, there are a couple of developments that have developed, and you might find them very, very interesting. Of course, yesterday, Ndani Kanu made a U-turn when he was called upon to open his defense, and he said he's not going to open any defense because he has not found any valid charge against him by the federal government. So that is going to come out on today's conversation because it's captured by the papers. You talk about the crisis in the PDP deepening because former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, has joined the PDP national chairmanship race, and it seems like he has come in to unsettle what PDP was plotting because one Taminu Turaki had been endorsed to become the PDP new national chairman by different people, but the entrance of Sule Lamido has unsettled things, and as we speak now, PDP has stepped down the planned screening of the candidates. Then you talk about what is happening beyond the shores of Nigeria. You go to Ivory Coast where Alassane Ouattara has won his fourth term as president of that very country, and that came few hours after Paul Biya of Cameroon was declared winner of Cameroon presidential election. A 92-year-old Paul Biya won another term where he's going to serve for about 8 years, and you're just wondering whether he's going to be up to 100 by the time he must have finished his term as the president of that very country. There are other developments in the polity that we will bring here to a notice and talk about what is happening in Sokoto State, where bandits are imposing levy on some communities. And then the new INEC chairman, talking to us, saying that he's going to ensure that litigations we do have during elections are reduced to the barest minimum. And my question is, will he do it alone? If is he the one to do that, what about political parties who do involve themselves in shenanigans, whereby we get to have a retinue of pre-election litigations? How is he going to handle that very one? So only time is going to tell in all this. So you stay with us as we begin today's conversation. Chisom Chinedu, good morning.
Good morning, Franklin. Happy rainy Tuesday to you, and happy rainy Tuesday to everyone listening to us this morning. I hope you are all covered, you are safe, and of course, prepared for what today has in stock for you.
All right, somebody will say Akoni people because during this very morning, of course, it's unsettled lots of things. I was expecting the rain last night, it didn't come, only for the rain to bless us this very morning. Anthony, I hope it blessed you too.
Blessing is every day. Then, for me, we are blessed every day, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. And when it showers, it becomes showers of blessing. There's no doubt about that. But then we wouldn't want situations where flood water will run through a lot of houses, homes, causing people to be internally displaced. There was an incident that happened, was it yesterday? It was yesterday. I think it was either on Monday, yes, where a truck that usually picks waste bins, a child who had come to deposit the waste, and possibly, the person was a child, and the driver of the truck never knew that the person was almost in front of the truck, and then the truck rolled over the person. It was yesterday, and the person died. I think this happened along Matafum Udumobosi, and it was very pathetic.
What a sad one.
It was very pathetic, and that tells you there is need for not just retrospection but carefulness. Most times, people that usually come together to dump these waste, they are usually kids, and especially when these things are done on Mondays, the day referred as sit at homes, and parents do allow kids to go on to take these waste, and in doing so, risks, dangers, these things are involved. And some of these drivers, I don't know, sorry to say, I don't know if most of them drink or smoke. And it's expected that before you leave the very spot you wear, you must have people on the ground that will tell you, take off, because to ensure that no child is close to the tire. Look, that's how the child yesterday lost his life. That is one. And then I will also say we must do things accordingly. Good morning, Nigerians, and good morning, the good people of Southeast. Good morning, Indianambra. Good morning, Onitsha. Wherever you are listening to us from, it's always a pleasure, and we thank God Almighty for bringing us here this morning, for making us to be alive, and then for us to be in the sanctuary and also do his work. We are here to expose and then expand the narrations, the narratives peddled in different quarters, and also take the conversation beyond certain viewpoints. And that's why we are here. You're welcome.
All right, so good morning once more to every one of you listening to us this morning. Don't forget that you can always join us on our live Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. The video is already up there. You can just get on that very page, share the post, and at the same time drop your comments as the conversation progresses. Also, we are live on YouTube and Instagram, Udala Radio. The same handle on the two platforms. Okay, before we get to the papers this very morning, and just to let you know that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has extended the collection of PVCs. So if you registered for PVC during the last concluded CVR, the one that ended in July, the collection was supposed to end yesterday, but INEC has now said between Wednesday and Sunday that they are going to open up again for you to go to your registration area, or what we know as ward, and pick up your PVC. If you haven't picked up your own, if you're among those 117,000 persons that registered, if you have not picked up your PVC or you wanted to transfer your own, go and pick up your PVC, because it's important that you use it. PVC is not for decoration, it's not for government businesses, so it's not for opening bank accounts. It's for you to use it and do the needful, and that needful is for you to use it to vote. I keep on telling people that if you think that the election that we conducted in 2023, talking about presidential election, was not free and fair, or you think the one conducted in Edo State wasn't free and fair, would you also say the same thing with the one conducted in Abia State? So if you have different views about this very two, that tells you that all elections are not the same. That this wasn't too fair does not mean that Anambra cannot be very fair. If you all agree, we can make it to be fair. What you want is that you have to use your PVC to speak. If you think the incumbent is not doing well, it's time for you to go to the polls and tell him that he's not doing well. If you think he's doing well, it's time for you to go to the polls and tell him that he's doing well. Other than you stay idly in your shop, in your house, and you complain for nothing tomorrow. And I must tell you that nothing is gonna change if you complain for nothing tomorrow. You have to speak with that ultimate power you have in democracy.
And just so you know, the date has been extended to Sunday, November 2nd. It was previously supposed to end tomorrow, okay? But Sunday, you can still get to wherever it is you're supposed to collect your PVC and collect it. Bear that in mind, please. So you have from now till Sunday, please go collect your PVC. Like Frank said, we cannot emphasize this enough.
Okay, so you have heard everyone that we can't emphasize this enough. Let's get to the headlines and see the papers we have this very morning. As usual, we have 4 of them, and our stories are going to be taken from Vanguard, The Nation, Guardian, and Punch newspapers. We'll begin with the headlines on Vanguard newspaper. Banner headline says chaos in PDP, convention at risk. The story is on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper, and then there are writers there. One of the writers says Lamido vows to sue over denial of access to chairmanship form by party. Turaki submits chairmanship nomination form. Another one says over 20 PDP lawmakers threaten defection over alleged plot to clear APC nominee for national woman leader. Okay. Then another headline we have here says JAM clears 85 underage candidates for exceptional admission. Other story says church raises alarm over herders invasion of Taraba communities. We have some riders here, but they are quite tiny. Then you see a picture story of service chiefs. Of course, yesterday the president met with the new service chiefs he appointed last Friday. That meeting was behind closed doors, so we don't know what was actually discussed. But the media is speculating that it could be for him to read the riot act to them and charge them to change the trajectory of security in Nigeria. Then above the nameplate, we have about 4 headlines here. One of them says alleged terrorism. Why I won't defend FG's charge against me, Kano. era of endless court battles over, says INEC chairman Amopito. First Bank demonstrates effective asset liability management with Eurobond redemption. And another story, which is on page 19, says electricity, FG's debt hit 6 trillion naira. Genco's push for urgent payment. This one says why Bebelo expanded Edo cabinet February. People are saying that he has assembled the biggest cabinet so far in the history of that very state. Then this one says Honganang political tool on that Tinubu ADC. Do you agree with ADC or not? The story is on page 8 of Vanguard newspaper. Then the final story on the front page of Vanguard says 2026 WAFCON race, Nigeria versus Benin. Falcons will take nothing for granted today. That's the second leg of that very match. The first one ended 2-0 in favor of Falcons in Benin. So we're going to play the second one here in Nigeria today.
Let's get to the Nation newspaper. Some of the stories you'd see here, with the banner headline being Lamido attacks PDP governors over exclusion, quote and unquote, from chair race. This is on page 2. Has riders, ex-Jigawa governor threatens legal action. Traki fit to lead party. Lotus Bank seeks to recover 1 billion naira withdrawn during glitch. On page 3. Tony, banking sector already has the glitch added to their nomenclature, to their lexicon. You know, it was first an INEC thing. Now banks are also having glitches. How DSS aborted Utomi's shadow cabinet through legal process on page 17. Battle for 9 mobile ownership shifts to Court of Appeal on page 15. JAMB clears 85 underage candidates for admission on page 4. Tinubu meets with service chiefs on page 2. 885 delegates ratify Oyebanji's nomination on page 3. The riders carnival-like atmosphere at Ekiti APC State Congress. Judge to IPOB leader Kanu, this is not economics. This is a criminal prosecution. Find that story on page 3 of the Nation newspaper.
And that yesterday, the judge told Kanu to consult with a legal expert on his next move so that he won't shoot himself in the foot. We go over to the Ghana newspaper. The banner headline here says Nigerian international travelers to pay extra $11.05 charge per ticket from December 1st. The story is on page 6. Bandits impose 15 million naira levy on Tambuwa's constituent, threatening fresh attacks. The story is on page 30 of Ghana newspaper. Below the nameplate, ADC accuses Tinubu's government of manipulating food prices for political gains. The story is on page 3. NAD insists on November 1st strike, claims health workers owed 38 billion naira in 2 years. The story is on page 3. This one says Oyebaji emerges APC candidate for Ekiti-Guba polls. The story is on page 7. Consensus candidate because others who were in the race pulled out after one other person or one other contender was disqualified based on certain reasons. Then, new Afrexim Bank boss tax African leaders on open border trade. The story is on page 26 of Ghana newspaper. PDP in fresh crisis over chairmanship consensus deal ahead of convention. Check page 6. Kanu refuses to enter defense, claims no case against him. The story is on page 29 of a Guardian newspaper.
Now from the Guardian newspaper, we are moving to the Punch. Banner headline here, chairmanship PDP consensus due shatters as Lamido rejects Turaki. On page 2, the rider tension ahead of convention. Screening postponed indefinitely. Lamido heads to court. Turaki advances bid. And 92-year-old Bia's eighth-term win sparks protest in Cameroon. I just wonder how a 92-year-old wants to still keep power in a place like Cameroon. Isn't this one of the reasons why the African continent is very far in terms of development? It's always about a personal ambition as against what really serves the people and the nation. Tinubu, Obasanjo lead dignitaries to honor like Christopher Kolade on page 8. Natasha broke penal code in attacks on Akpabio. That's Bello. That's from the AGF on page 9. Doctors mobilized for Friday's strike amid 38 billion naira unpaid allowances on page 7. Insecurity. Tinubu presses new service chiefs for immediate action on page 2. hardship. Akpabio Yilwatda challenged Nigerians to monitor governors on page 8. Collapsed Lagos building occupants ignored distress signs. That's from residents on page 5. Terrorism. Judge Bex Kanu, in God's name, to consult lawyers. This is on page 7.
Talking about that very building collapse that happened in Lagos, I've read several reports, and all of them were claiming that the occupants were asked to vacate. The building was marked as a distressed building. People were asked to vacate, but everybody decided not to move until it collapsed, and 2 persons have been confirmed dead. What does this speak to the authorities and then to the people? Is it that because we have so much water in the land, and at the same time housing is quite difficult in the country, that's why people can afford to live in distressed building, even ignore warnings to stay there? Asome.
Well, for me, it's about poverty. When I saw that, I said, where do you want them to go to? A country where housing is only for the rich. Because how many people can really, as a matter of urgency, move out from where they are to another place? Think about it. So sometimes when things like this happen, I say, God rest the dead, and for the living, may He provide them with the fortitude to bear the loss, and also probably what they need to not be in situations like that.
Okay, so let's begin today's conversation. We have to begin from what happened yesterday, because yesterday we talked about the creation of additional states on this very platform, and we cited 2 different reports. There are 2 different reports. If you read the report from Channels Television, likewise the Punch newspaper, they have it that 1 additional state was approved for the Southeast. If you read Premium Times and some other papers too, they are saying that 1 additional state is approved for each of the 6 geopolitical zones. So we have this very contradictory report. But from what we have gathered so far, that what happened is that the National Assembly Committee on Amendment of the 1999 Constitution has approved 1 state for the Southeast as we speak now. Then a subcommittee was established to look into other proposals demanding the creation of additional state for other geopolitical zones. So then let's talk on this.
All right, thank you so much, Franklin. And I think that addresses the question Chisom asked yesterday, because the question she asked was more like the move, if he had addressed any imbalance, and then it was something we put in a subjective mode, in the sense that if 1 state was created for Southeast, or was approved for Southeast to bring it to par with other regions, he has addressed it. But if 1 state is approved for each geopolitical zone, it means it has not addressed it. So just as you said, we discovered that from the joint committee of the National Assembly, where they had that very retreat in Lagos, and the motion that was moved, it was unanimously agreed that Southeast be given 1 additional state to bring it to par, that's to bring it to level with other geopolitical zones, except Northwest that has 7 states. So if 1 additional state is approved for Southeast, it means that Southeast will have 6 states, South 6 states, Southwest 6 states, North Central 6 states, and also Northeast 6 states outside Northwest, that it has 7 states already. So it is a good move, and that would also address some of the things we highlighted yesterday: the political marginalization, administrative marginalization, economic marginalization, developmental marginalization, because these are things the state will address. 4 things: political, economical, or economic one, the administrative one, and also developmental one. So it brings more local government, it brings more revenue to Southeast, it brings more representation at the national level to Southeast, it brings number of ministers, it brings number of projects. So it does a lot, and that is the best way to address the political, economic, developmental, and administrative injustice meted out to Southeast. We must commend the joint committee of the National Assembly for deeming it fit. And if you look at the person that moved the motion, the person that moved the motion is from the north. And if you look at those who said aye, many of them from the north shouted ayes. And when it was put, those who are against it said nay. Nobody said nay, but it was more like formality because underground work
had been done.
So it was just the formality. So it's expected, because if you look at by provision of Section 8 of the 1999 Constitution, the process of state creation is very long, tedious, and quite tiring. So it must start with a formal request by the very enclave that wants a state. And once that is submitted to the National Assembly, first and foremost, they will also communicate that the referendum. And if you look at it, there will be 2/3 of senators from that area, 2/3 of the local government representatives, 2/3 of the everything, 2/3. So it was something that this move must have, in one way or the other, settled some of the bottlenecks, some of these challenges that would have come if no homework was done. So what it means now is that the Section 8 will be more like a formality, but there is a problem. The only problem that is remaining is between Anioma State and that of Etiti State. And yesterday I was very particular about it. The idea, the motion was that Southeast be given one more state, or one more state be created from South. I think let's use the word the way it they use it. One more state created from what? Southeast. Not one more state created from South and be joined to Southeast.
Or not one more state created for Southeast, but from Southeast. Now that is very clear, Tony, and like you pointed out, this is supposed to address some of the issues we've had in terms of equity, generally, politically, economically, and all of that. But there is something that has been bothering me. The fact that some other regions are still moving for more states to be created. And I am just wondering, going forward, where does that leave us? I recall vividly, I think it was Zamfara State, where they talked about so many ungoverned spaces and all of that, and places like that possibly divided further. And now the question will be, looking at the size of the Southeast, if the creation of one more state from the Southeast is done, it leaves the Southeast while we are at par in terms of number. We may have very little space for any more state to be created from us in case of where other regions have states created from them. You get my point? The Southeast is small. And so if by paraventure we keep moving towards, okay, there's going to be a panel set up, and they are a commission set up, a committee rather, and they approve more states for other regions, it means that for us to be equal to, the Southeast would need more states. And the question will be, from where do we create them in the future? And is it possible for something to be done to prevent the creation of more states in other regions?
I think we are in democracy, and our democracy is evolving. There's no doubt. And just like I said, if you look at Southeast geopolitical zone has 29,000 square kilometer. That's the size of the Southeast. So if you look at that, it tells you that yes, we are the smallest when it comes to landmarks. There's no doubt. And that does not mean there are no countries that are smaller than Southeast. So if you judge by that, you can understand that yes, like a state like Anambra State has the least when it comes to landmarks, second to Lagos, that has the smallest across the country. Lagos has smallest, and Anambra coming second. And why Lagos is better than Anambra is the fact that Anambra has erosion sites more than Lagos. So if you look at some of these sites, erosion has taken over. You find out that Anambra is left with nothing. But when you ask Etiti State, the Etiti State is conceived in such a way that, like I explained yesterday, Abia State, Enugu State, and Ebonyi State, these three states, they are somehow joined together. Abia, Enugu, and then Ebonyi. And they also have some part of Anambra State that joins Enugu State, like Orumba South. So the only area, if there's a way you can also carve out some portion of Okigwe in Imo State. So that forms a Etiti State. Some part of Okigwe, some part of Orumba, then some part of Abia, Enugu, and Ebonyi State. That gives you the Etiti State we're talking about. And that makes it viable. The only local government that may likely follow from Anambra State will be Orumba.
Okay, so for us to wrap up on this thing, because from what we know now, as we speak, what has been approved by the National Assembly Committee on Amendment of 1999 Constitution is one additional state for the Southeast as we speak now. Then a subcommittee has been set up and given the responsibility to look into other requests for state creation for other geopolitical zones. As we speak, there are 278 proposals already submitted for additional state creation. So if eventually some of them also scale through and other regions, other geopolitical zones are going to get additional states, maybe it could be like Nnonosinana, Benam Pontaja, Okanokwebono.
I understand your point, because this proposal, you must give them attention. But we know that these proposals are not viable. Some of these states clamoring for additional creation, they are not viable. If you look at some of these states, for instance, many of them are dependent on federal location. They cannot even rake in any internally generated revenue, especially from the north. So you don't create state for the fact that you want more federal location. No, not at all. But how would that state so created add to the national revenue? So you look at businesses around that area, you don't create state because that state has landmarks. You create state because of the need, the political need, economic need, social need. So these are reasons states are created. And if you look around, are you aware that a country like Rwanda, Southeast is bigger than entire Rwanda? Southeast is about 29,000 square kilometers, but Rwanda is about 26,000 square kilometers. Southeast alone is bigger than the entire Rwanda. And I'm also aware that Southeast is also bigger than the entire Burundi. I'm also aware that Southeast is almost the same size with Belgium. I'm also aware that Southeast is also the same size as, in fact, Haiti. There are so many countries in the world that Southeast is bigger than. There are some that almost of the same size with Southeast. You can talk about Lesotho, you can talk about Armenia, you can talk about Albania. There are so many of them. So the point remains that it's not about landmarks. For those who think we have so many ungoverned spaces, if you have ungoverned spaces, if states are given to those areas that are ungoverned, does it make it governable? It does not.
All right.
What makes it governable is the economic activities going on in that place.
All right. So on a very good day, we're going to look at the economy of this very state creation, whether it's what we are going to, whether it's going to help us to drive development, to the grassroots, or if we should concentrate and focus on what we have, use what we have available as resources, and then get to develop our areas. Now let's look at what happened yesterday in court, because the leader of the IPOB, Nanikano, he has abandoned an earlier plan to call witnesses in his ongoing trial for alleged terrorism offenses. Yesterday, he told the Federal High Court in Abuja that he had realized there was no valid charge against him, and he maintained that the evidence led so far had not established a case against him that required him to enter a defense. I recall that on October 24, the court adjourned till yesterday for Kanu to open his defense. The accused had written to the court indicating his intention to call witnesses and apply for witness summons. On this platform, we mentioned those witnesses that he mentioned, I think about 22 or 32 of them, where Wike was even mentioned, and even some foreigners. But yesterday, the court was believing that Kanu was going to open his case, but rather he was going to open his defense. But what happened was that Kanu 9 came. Kanu came yesterday, and somebody can say disappointed because the court had already reserved about 5 seats, waiting that these very summer witnesses were going to appear. So when the case was called up, the counsel to the federal government, talking about Adeboyega Awomolo, he announced his presence and also announced the presence of some other lawyers who were on the prosecution council or team. Then Kanu also announced his name and said he was going to represent himself, following which Awomolo told the court the essence of that very day's business, that was yesterday's business. Now, guess what's out? When Kanu sat down in the dock, it was time for him to speak, and he said he had gone through the case files and found that there is actually no charge against him. So on that very case, he argued that there is no extant law in the country on which the prosecution could premise its case. and he insisted that there's no case against him. And according to him, if there's no case against me, it will be futile for me to enter any defense. And the report added that even the judge told him to consult widely before making his decision, because he had some time ago ruled on no case submission that he entered, and he was told to open his defense. Lawyers have been reacting about what happened yesterday, trying to draw the implications of what happened. So for you, Tony, from the U-turn that Kanu did yesterday, what could you infer?
I think he is going back to the status quo. Remember on September 26, when his defense counsel filed no case submission, it was overturned by Justice James Omotosho on the ground that the prosecution has been able to establish prima facie. And I have also explained on this very program that prima facie is that tiniest or the smallest admissible evidence that would make the accused to defend the evidence so submitted against whatever acts or infractions he must or he may have supposedly committed. Let's put it that way. If there is any admissible evidence that shows that you allegedly committed what was brought before you or the charges preferred against you, I think Kano looked at the whole thing and said, on before September 26, and said, I have no case. And look at what the DSS, the federal government, because that's the prosecution, look at what they brought before the judge. They brought 5 exhibits, and I will list these exhibits and what these exhibits were all about. 5 of these exhibits were tendered before the court. And also they called 2 witnesses. And one of the witnesses is codenamed AAA, because there is need to protect the identity or the identities of the witnesses. And then also the other witness codenamed BBB. But if you look at the exhibits presented by the prosecution, a letter dated 17th June 2021, authored by Ebuka Malami, the former Attorney General, addressed to the Department of the State Service, accusing Kanu of terrorism, murder, and incitement to violence. This was admitted as Exhibit PWF. And then there was also a flash drive containing one of Kanu's broadcasts, together with a certificate of compliance. These were admitted as Exhibit PWA, flash drive, and PW1 certificates. There were 4 suitcases recovered from a hotel room where Kanu was arrested, including laptops, iPads, modems, broadcasting equipment. When you talk about modems, that's internet, connecting device, phones, and cords. And these were listed as exhibit, various by the prosecution. And a certified true copy of judgment between Kanu and Federal Republic of Nigeria, the one that Kanu was adjudged to have won by the High Court of Abia State, where he awarded 1 billion naira in favor of Kanu. A copy of that judgment was also recovered at the hotel room where he was. Okay, there's another records relating to damage and destructions of security infrastructure, police stations, INEC facilities. These records, records saying that these things were linked to Kanu's broadcast, and these were tendered as exhibit PWD2 and PW2A and also PW2B. There was also a statement made by Kanu to DSS, which the court rejected for being obtained under duress. And these statements were tendered as exhibit, but the court said we cannot admit it. You can't give us any statement made by Kanu because you subjected him to torture, and in that he made some statement and you tender it as evidence. No, it was rejected by James Omotosho. Now, the 2 witnesses called, a DSS operative identified by codename AA and then also another identified by codename BB. They testified about Kanu's broadcast and incitement and laid evidence on the petition letter from Malami. But Kanu have asked them one question. And that question Kanu has asked them is still germane. And that's why he said he has no case to answer. That one question he asked was, let me say the question. The witnesses, you said I made broadcast, altering destruction of this, altering destruction of that. Can you bring one person that said that you arrested? Upon investigation, it was discovered that the person destroyed this and destroyed that. And the person said, why I destroyed this or destroyed that was because of my broadcast. Because, I've always said, to prove something before any court of competent jurisdiction is no small means. You must not just prove that such offense was committed, but you must link it up. Because the idea is, yes, there was a broadcast where he had said this, he had said that, but were you able to link the destructions, you must get those who destroyed those infrastructures, and there will be supporting evidence that they've destroyed it, and those people will also prove that they got such directives from Namdekan. So it comes that's why he said there's no case for
we're going to go for commercial break now, but yesterday the judge reminded Kano that in criminal prosecution there is a procedure, and that at the stage where they are in now, that there are only 3 options available to Kano,
yes,
which he has to take either of them. And I understand that in criminal prosecution, the way our law has made it, for the fact that the court has established a prima facie against Kano,
he has ruled, he has adjudged that there is a prima facie because of the evidence.
So he has to move to the next stage. That he no longer has the option of questioning whether the court can proceed with the charges, or if the court has any valid charge against him, that he has to move to the next stage. After the break, we'll talk about this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
From the commercial city of Onitsha comes Udala Radio 104.7 FM, the voice of the region, where authentic news and entertainment meet. Udala Radio 104.7 FM, seriously authentic.
Solutions. My people, I hello. My name na Chukwuemeka Okafo. I dey live and dey work for Anambra. I don marry and I get children. This na my tori of how Governor Chukwuma Charles Soludo change our life. Na ogbonge tori o. For the past 3 years now, I no dey carry my motor go repair for mechanic workshop again. Why? Because Governor Soludo don build Oyoyo Road everywhere for Anambra. All my children dem dey enjoy free education with no kurukere payment. And when my wife wan born our last pikin nko, na free antenatal and free delivery. She no pay shishi. Even my oldest son Ebuka don get empowerment through the One Youth Two Skills program. Now himself don begin employ others. In short, development just dey shele everywhere for Anambra. True, Governor Soludo don change our life, because all this awoof dey release money for my pocket to take do other important things. On November 8th, vote for continuity and more development. Vote the Soludo Ibezim ticket. Make the solution continue. Apga Onyaga na nwanne ya. Vote Okuko.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM, seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved.
Alright, so thank you for staying tuned to the Radio 104.7 FM. You are listening to The Polity. My name is Franklin and Chisom, Olisa Mbeki. All of us are bringing you today's conversation of The Polity. And before we went on that very break, we're talking about what happened yesterday at the court when the case of Mas Nanikano was called up. and he made a U-turn saying that he wasn't going to continue to call witnesses, which he asked the court to grant him. And he said this time around, he has found out that the federal government has no valid charge against him. Now let's look at the possible implications of the U-turn he made yesterday. I mentioned that in criminal justice system in Nigeria, there is a procedure, and whatever that happens in the court follow this very procedure. There is this AJA 2015 talking about the administration of a criminal justice act of Nigeria. This is what we follow. Now, if you look at this very act of 2015, AJA 2015, you will see that somewhere in that very law it is stated expressly, and I'm going to cite section 303 or that very AJA 2005. It says that if the court determines that there is a case to answer, the defendant is compelled to enter his defense. Now, in the case of Kano, the court has ruled that there is a case for him to answer, and that is why he has been called to present his defense. But now he has said, I'm not going to continue to present my defense because you don't have any valid charge against me. So what could be the implication of the decision he has taken?
There are just three options, just like you mentioned earlier on. And the first option is for him to enter into defense that has two modes. One is by bringing witnesses and evidence, or by written addresses, as the judge explained to him yesterday. You can either do it open or close. Open is when you call witnesses, you also lead in evidence. That is in open. And then close, it could be written addresses. That is one. And then you can also decide to stay on your no case submission and await judgment. So there is still the third option is, if he insists on no case submission, it means that the court will look into what was presented before it by the prosecution and make its ruling. That is judgment. That is why the judge yesterday was advising Kano seek legal consultation, be guided, be advised, because it's expected of you to say something. These people have come out to say they brought 5 exhibits from you, and Kano has said these 5 exhibits you brought from me, flash drive, judgment of the courts, 4 suitcases, nothing incriminating. So bringing those things before me, they are not incriminating. That you tender that you brought this before me, you brought this, or you discovered this, or you recovered this from me, and all that, you tendered it before the court and they were marked exhibit this, that, we are they incriminating? That is one. And then the second aspect of it is, even the documents or the documentary or some of the statements you've made, you have not been able to link the instructions to me. That is why he's insisting on no case submission. That in any criminal prosecution, the accused or the prosecution must be seen to have established prima facie, correlate the event that happened, that the person accused or the charges preferred against the person, you must correlate it. Correlation means you must relate it, situate it in such a way that the person, through his actions or inactions, these things happened, and where it was proven that those who eventually did those things were able to attribute it back to his actions or inactions. And he said these things have not been done. That's that for the fact that somebody made a broadcast. If you go out there, do this, if you look at the charges, these things, one of the charges, apart from, I've said it many times here, one has to do with defamation of character. That is the person of President Buhari, and the other one has to do with terrorism. You have to prove the one of terrorism. How has his action been adjudged to be a terrorist actions? Because one thing, let me give you an instance now. During the time of Osama bin Laden, when they attacked the World Trade Center. That is 9/11, 2001. Sorry, 2001. Not 2021, 2001. We remember that period. Immediately, World Trade Center was attacked. Osama bin Laden claimed responsibility, saying that he actually pushed out those who did those things. And when some of them were arrested, there was a proof that yes, he was the one that sent them to go and do those destructions, to both radio messages. For you to prove that Nnamdi Kanu has committed terrorist acts, you must go to his communication channels and look at those who perpetrated one act, and it was seen that there was communication between him and those people who perpetrated a certain act.
So let me ask
You must prove such communication.
Does it mean that the prosecuting counsel is not aware of all of these details, however minute? Because from what you have pointed out here, it looks like would I say ignoring important things is bringing us to this point. And I think if we really want a working judicial system, it is one that is speedy with things. Issues come and they are thrashed and done with. But with the way this is going, Nnamdi Kanu has been in since 2021, if I'm not mistaken. 4 years down the line, and with the way this is going, it's going to take a long while before this case is taken care of totally. So does it mean the defense counsel doesn't know exactly what is needed to make this done and over with?
The defense counsel, I don't want to preempt
The
what
prosecuting case.
the prosecuting counsel. I don't want to preempt anything because this matter is before the court, and there is a way you look into it. You will be preempting the outcome. So what we've been doing so far is to narrate what had happened before the court, not trying to do or say anything that will preempt the decision of the court. So it's before the judge. The judge says, based on testimonies, because the charges are 7. If they are able to prove or bring evidence that support one, it's enough for you to enter the fence. I think that's where I agree with the judge. Because if you look at it, they brought issue of criminal defamation of character. And where they say that you called Buhari pedophile, you call him all manner of names, but that one has no big charges. Criminal defamation is bailable offense, and then the highest will be sometimes with option of fine. Yes. So then they brought a broadcast where he called Buhari a pedophile. So the judge looked at it. Oh, this charge talks about criminal defamation of character, and where they have taken it upon themselves to prosecute for Buhari, late Buhari. And why is criminal? He says that it is the state prosecuting. It's not civil. It is criminal. So that's why the state is prosecuting. And where there was a broadcast where he called Buhari pedophile, and the judge says it's part of the prima facie. Tell us why you called. But if it's a judge that he actually called Buhari this, that one has option of fine. Okay, so
if you're going to read commentaries surrounding what happened yesterday, you will see some other persons who are arguing that what Kanu is doing is that he's insisting that the prosecution should prove or produce a valid law upon which their charges are based. And he's saying that you cannot be trying me on laws that have been repealed. This is a commentary that you can read on the other side, who are saying that, okay, Kanu has a reason upon which he based what he did yesterday in court.
If you look at it, there are 7 charges, mind you, and maybe the one you are talking about is the one of terrorism. We have repealed, terrorism, anti-terrorism and prohibition act. We have had it repealed. So he's asking you, why would you try me on a repealed one? Because these things you are talking about happened before the repealed one, and no law is retrogressive in nature. So if you have repealed a law and I've been standing trial, it brings confusion. Which law are you trying me with? Which law are you trying me under? Because you can't make laws when you have preferred charges against me and I'm standing trial for that charges. You repair law to suit the charges you've been trying me. It doesn't work that way. It does not.
It means the trial has to stand on the law.
And if you want it to stand on the previous one has no force, has no effect. If you want it to stand on the current one in itself cannot be retrogressive to the acts performed. So if you look at it, that is a logjam. But the most important thing is that outside, Justice Omatocho will tell you that's just one aspect. We have 7 of them. Maybe that one you are talking about is talking about the terrorism aspect of it. But what about defamation, criminal defamation, which I've told you that it is minor something whereby sometimes fine could come up, imprisonment or fine, maybe 3-4 years fine, something like that. But where everybody's paying attention is the one that has borders on terrorism, and that is one the kind of saying I have no case, because you've not been able to say that I have been able to incite anybody to go all out to commit terrorism, and where the person committed such terrorist act and then trace it back to him. It is important, or there is any form of conspiracy between him and somebody to commit where it is proven that so far there has never been. You have not set up, you have not proved anything. Some of the things you have done, that's what Khan is trying to tell them. Some of these things you've done looks like academic exercise. It's more experimentation. He said this, he said that. But the issue is, what was the effect of what he said, and who acted on what he said, and those who acted on what he said, were they be able to say that yes, they acted based on this incitement? So these are areas he looked into. But for me, he has insisted on no case submission, which the court ruled you have 7 of them, and then once the judge has seen one thing in all of the 7 for you to enter the fence, you have to enter the fence. If you say that you've not seen anything in the 1, 2, 3 terrorism and other ones, what about the other ones? But he has insisted he has no case to answer, and the judge asks, you must seek legal advice. But if you insist, the next will be my judgment.
Okay, so
that's it.
So let's see what is going to happen in the next couple of days, because the court adjourned till November 4, 5, and 6 for either the adoption of the written addresses or for Kanu to open his defense, should he choose to change his mind.
Definitely, there will be written addresses. I think that's the only thing, because if he consults a legal counsel, Kanu will adopt the close one where he will write his addresses and it will be adopted, because he have to defend some of these things and then also prove that he has no case. So I think that's the only one he has to.
God gave him 4 days to do this, because I think he requested for about 3 weeks for him to be able to do this. But court said we're giving you.
So no more week again, no more some of these people he called, and no more T.Y. Danjuma, because everybody had thought that these people would have come. So we see the drama in court. It would have been a good drama, but he has made a U-turn.
All right, so let's then get to Sokoto State, where bandits are demanding 15 million naira levy from Tambuwa's constituents, and they are threatening that they're going to attack that very community. We're talking about a community of community known as Baza community, and the surrounding villages in the Yabo local government area of Sokoto State. They've been asked to raise 15 million naira levy by suspected armed bandits. They are saying if you fail to do this, we are going to launch our attack on the very community. And people living in the area, they've been running helter-skelter, crying foul, crying to the media, crying to the government to come to their aid. Tony, this is just like an expression or a tip of the iceberg of the kind of things people are suffering in different communities when you talk about insecurity, where you live in your father's house and somebody comes and tells you, for you to be able to live here, for you to be able to go to farm, you have to be paying us certain amount of money for you to do this. And I must tell you that it's spreading in the north, and we've also seen such in the southeast here. So this issue of bandits asking for levy from communities, is it because that we began to pay ransom? Is this why this is festering?
We know very well that there are businesses that thrive, and any thriving business is adjudged based on returns made. In Nigeria, that's the yardstick to measure any business that thrives. The returns made from that business determines if it is thriving or not. So what you talked about, the criminal enterprise, the banditry business or the banditry industry, is thriving because they have made so many returns. And that's why some group of people can get weapons from nowhere, seize the entire community and tell them they must pay this levy, or even you must pay for your oxygen, the oxygen you breathe, you must pay for it. Even the rain that falls, you must pay for it. And we are in a country, and supposedly we are a sovereign country, a sovereign nation for that matter. So it tells you the failure of leadership in such aspects. It is a mockery of whatever we are doing. We are bandits. They are respected in that part of the country. That part of the country respects bandits so much. For you to negotiate with bandits, you are respecting them because you also acknowledge their authority. For me to negotiate with you means I have acknowledged your authority, your potency, your power, and what you are able to do, your capacity. And I say, no, what? Let's talk. If I think I can defeat you, I don't need to negotiate with you. If I think I cannot defeat you, then I will negotiate with you. Negotiation with banditry is a subtle way of saying I'm submitting or conceding to your quest in a way. And they have taken it another level. They have taken it a big level. So, yeah, have taken it up. So the point remains that we have not decided to deal with such situation in this country. And I have not seen political will mustered to deal with this decisively. You want to tell me that if we are in military regime, any of these things would have been happening? Why didn't we have all these insurgency, banditry, some of these things during military era? None of these things existed. If that was the period, no developmental projects, roads, so many things were so bad. But things like this do not exist. That tells you that some of our politicians, not all of them, some of them know more about this. And some of them have been the one fueling some of these things. You use these boys during elections, abandon them, and sometimes you supply them weapons, abandon them, and once the election is approaching, you will start negotiating with them because you believe you are going to still use them or need them in one way or the other. And in such negotiation, you are giving them money, you are paying them. And somebody was telling me that what about those that threatened all manner of help, that if 2015 elections were rigged, that monkey and baboon will soak in blood if this were done. And some say that allegedly that some people were imported from Libya to fight the supposed non-declaration of a particular person as the winner of that contest. And those people came, they were all disappointed because one candidate also congratulated the other candidate and said a blood of Nigerian does not want any of his ambition. In fact, some of those people so imported allegedly, were they also deported as imported? Or were they also left in the country with the arms they had come with? To fight for what? To fight for, sometimes we know some of these things.
So it takes us back to the same people
See,
at the helm of affairs.
I have said it here. I'm just making extrapolation. Most times some of these things thrive during civilian rule. But I'm saying that as a country, we can do better. We have got the service chiefs. They met the president, and Mr. President must have given the marching order, and they have been supported. Why is it difficult to flush out banditry? We've acquired Tucano. There was a time Tucano was running, that with the Tucano, that these people are finished, these people. And we also discovered that these bandits, they are acquiring drones. They are using. So who gave them money for drones? And when you talk about drones, you're talking about some of these aircraft that has autopilot.
Tony, do you know what worries me most? Because, each time I talk about security, I have this very conviction that if it's not complicity, compromise, we won't be having what we're having. You know why? I have a friend who once went to Abuja. He's a photographer, videographer. He went to Abuja and he went with his photography drone. And guess what? When he came to the airport for him to travel back to the southeast, the drone was seized. He said he cannot board the aircraft without authorization. If he can't produce any paper certifying so and so, he cannot board an aircraft with this. That tells you the kind of security attention being paid to things of that very nature. So you now imagine bandits bringing in drone from where?
From where?
How did they get all the clearances? How do they get these things into the country without anybody spotting?
We have customs, we have immigration, we have Air Force, we have Navy, and these men and women are supported, encouraged, paid, and they have been supplied with all manner of devices. And we have those who are on air, we have those below the sea, we have got every of them, but these people will still bring in these things.
So the
Are they,
question
I don't know, maybe they pass these things through the vacuum.
we know that we have compromises. We've often had issues of saboteurs being spotted in the system, but the question is, with the saboteurs in the system already operating for quite some time now, why are we not shifting the fight towards finding out these people who allow these leakages to happen? Instead of, you talk about equipping the military, how about we plug the holes? The whole of sabotage, is it possible to get that out of our system, at least to a reasonable level? Because whatever it is we do, unless reasonably these people are out of the system, we are going to just be revolving around the same circle. We invest money and they tell them this is what we have invested, and they prepare themselves. We have our men blocking certain points and they tell them we've blocked here, use the other route.
The question is, they have infiltrated most institutions.
So
remember during the
how
time
do you
of
prevent infiltration?
how do you
And
you
stop
must
what is already
see,
happening?
the truth is, we know certain things, but the political will to execute them. Was it not a particular governor saying that I have presented to Mr. President that a particular governor before me, he called Matawale, that he was the governor of Zamfara State before he came, how he sponsored these people, that as executive governor he had access to so many security files, and then he was able to obtain from the security files he inherited that there was communication between Matawale and these people, and he has been sponsoring them, he has been using them. And he said he tendered these things before Mr. President, and he said he's willing to come and defend it. Was it looked into? Okay. Was it addressed?
All right.
And we've got some other people who may come up with, if a governor Udala of Zamfara State could make such a statement, and till now nothing seems to have been done. So some say it's a political statement, but if anybody makes anything that seems to be political or true statement, we must give him the opportunity to prove whatever he has come up with is important. And there are so many of things happening in such realm, and that is why you see these bandits. I saw them, they came for negotiation. Some of them were proud to hang their gun on their neck before a government representatives. You hung your AK-47, so they came with it during the negotiation. So why didn't they also take those guns from them?
The Nigerian factor will always mess things up. Now, we have two other things for us to look at. Let's see how quickly we can do that. PDP is in news again because the National Convention is under threat. Yesterday, former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, he emerged from the blues and said he's going to contest for the PDP national chairmanship position. And he went to Wadata Plaza for him to procure his form. He didn't see anybody. He only met the organizing secretary, Omar Bature, and the national secretary of the party, talking about Senator Samuel Anyanwu. And he asked for forms, and he was told that there were no forms. In fact, the two of them said they didn't know anything about how the forms are being sold. That if he needs the form, he should contact the Taraba State Governor, Ahmadu Fintiri, who is the chairman of the organizing committee. And he has threatened that if PDP denies him the chance to pick up the form and contest for the PDP national chairmanship position, he's going to sue PDP. And he addressed the press. He made a couple of things, but at the end of the day, he subpoenaed us to some extent, saying that it's a family thing, that they are going to find a way to solve it. But this is happening amidst the claim that Turaki has been endorsed by different stakeholders in the PDP for him to emerge as PDP chairman during the convention scheduled for Ibadan in Oyo State. But the interesting thing is that same yesterday, PDP announced that it was suspending the screening plan for today. No reason was given, and people are trying to read meaning into it. Maybe it's because of the emergence of Lamido. That was why they suspended the screening to see how they are going to resolve this very issue before going into the convention. So this convention, can it hold?
I think the convention has a lot of challenges. We've seen litigation before the court, and there is a problem on who's going to defend that litigation. And we've seen that between Damagon and the National Legal Advisor, who say that the Magona has no power to appoint counsels that will defend the party before the court, that it is within his own office, within his jurisdiction to do so. So talking about Saminu Turaki and Sule Lamido, these are two men, both of them are from Jigawa State, and I know Saminu Turaki was governor before Sule Lamido. He was governor from 1999 to 2007, and then Sule Lamido succeeded him from 2007 down to 2015. And both men, we know very well, we are powerful figures in Jigawa politics. They represented the rivalry between APC. When this person will be in AMPP, the other person will be on the other party. So we saw that. But if the Northern Enclaves have decided that Saminu Turaki will be the person now they have endorsed, they must give the other person a level playing field, Sule Lamido. And it was right to say that if they don't give him the form, that definitely is going to sue the party, and it will also add to the litigation against the convention. So you don't do convention in such a way that you deny everybody access because of regional endorsement.
Tony, just a quick one, because sometimes I keep on wondering why parties continue to involve themselves in shenanigans and arbitrariness when they know that there are people who will, of course, stand up to challenge it. Former Jigawa State Governor, he mentioned the processes. He explained how it is, how they have done it in accordance with the party constitution. But in this case, people are trying to play God. Perhaps they are trying to skim out the men who are loyal to Wike out of the planning of the convention.
I think no matter how you look at it, because if you take this into court, the Supreme Court will tell you that the leadership of a party is an internal affair business. So it makes it so difficult, just as we have in Labour Party. Labour Party as presently.
So the court has armed political parties to continue to involve in shenanigans.
This rascality is sponsored by the courts, because when you keep saying that it is an internal, they can't get their internal affairs right. They cannot, because somebody will do some imposition and believe that we've got the numbers and things will go the way some few would also want it. So you find out that these things happening in political parties is somehow powered by the court, because court has to make definite statements and see that justice is done. So it's not about saying it is an internal affair, and he has killed and crippled many political parties. Many of them have been embroidered in rivalry, internal, wrangling, and he has always continued. So
okay, let me ask, but why now? Why is Lamido appearing now? Because he has not been oblivious of the plan for the convention, and he said nothing. All we heard him saying was that he was not going to leave PDP, that he is the founding father, and people were expecting that he should have long time ago shown interest in the PDP national chairmanship position. He waited till 11th hour to declare his interest. They are asking whether he's being sponsored by anybody, and there is a feeling in some part of PDP that he has affiliation with ADC. That's why they are not favorably disposed to him becoming the national chairman.
I think these are suspicions anyway, because I have always said PDP has been destroyed by one man. And then why did he come out at this point? He asked himself this question: has the timeline? Has he? Maybe he came within the timeline. Yes, he didn't come out when others came out. Possibly he came towards the end, but he was still within the timeline when he came out. So the issue is, yes, there could be this affiliation with ADC. There's no doubt. He has affiliation with ADC. So that is why many of them are seeing him as an outcast. Are you sent? Are you on a mission? Because we've seen you dine and wine with ADC. All of a sudden you want to contest for the chairmanship position of the People's Democratic Party when they want to weed all the chaff from the PDP. So that's why they are playing around with him on the issue of forms. So in any way, but the truth remains, we must operate within the ambit of the law. He could be this, he could be that. Let him come out to the field, and then he will receive 0 votes. So, and that ends it.
Because that's what I'm thinking. Okay, even if you are not favored, or if you're not disposed to him become national chairman, of course, why don't you see how he can galvanize, go to the convention,
that is it,
and ensure that you are preferred candidate to win.
If you think he has committed anti-party activities, you now also invoke the powers of your constitution and disqualify him.
Okay, so let's go for this very commercial break. Once we are back from it, we're going to open the phone lines to hear from you. But what are you thinking about what is happening in some African countries when it comes to presidential election? where in Ivory Coast, Lassana Ouattara has won 4th term. In Cameroon, Paul Biya has won after he had served 43 years in power. And guess what? If you go to Ivory Coast, this same person who is now trying to perpetuate himself in power was helped to become the president when Babu was trying to also, stay tied to power. Stay with us to right back.
104.7 Udala Radio.
Metwaka no be, one them metwaka no be, so bend you woman, Metwaka no be, go nyanga na one ya, Metwaka no be, to bebe sero kuko, Mamba foga chipozo, Mamba fona chofu mane mafuma, Metwaka no be, tujera fuga kotuki, Oba tuga chipozo,
Binya kebe serokoko call what wegu roroma gabaniru.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread. Obachi chane dozialo. Wendy's bread. Mama papa they like Wendy's bread. Na chicha nyandu. Wendy's bread. Even children they like Wendy's bread. Wendy's bread ninta. Wendy's bread. You get it better tasty we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread. Wendy's your bachi choma. Wendy's bread. The champion.
Wendy's bread, your tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside CPS, Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
I believe the children are our future.
Every girl child is a symbol of strength, hope, and limitless potential. Join the Nigeria Association of Women Journalists, NAWOJ, Anambra State Chapter, as we commemorate the 2025 International Day of the Girl Child with the theme, The Girl I Am, The Change I Lead, Girls on the Front Line of Crisis. Date, Wednesday 29th October 2025. Time, 10 a.m. Venue, Goldwyn Ezebo NUJ International Press Center, Oka. Mother of the Day, Mrs. Ifi Obinabo, Commissioner for Women and Social Welfare. Special guest speaker, Honorable Beverly Nkemdiche Ikpazo, Commissioner for Special Duties. Keynote speaker, Professor Nkechi Kediulu. Executive Chairman, Anambra State Post Primary School Service Commission. Guest speaker, Mrs. Nchedom Bamalochukwu, founder, Kekun Success Empowerment Initiative. Come, let's celebrate every girl child for her strength, her voice, our future. Announcer, Comrade Tochukwu Ifejika, Chairperson, NAWOJ, Anambra State Chapter.
Teach them well and let them lead the way.
You're listening to Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. You're listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
Alright, so it's time for you to get involved on the Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. It's now 10:35. My name is Franklin and Olisa Mbeki and Chisom Chinedu. All of us are together for this very conversation. Don't forget we have looked at a couple of things. And another thing we have thrown up for us to rub minds on is what is happening in Africa, because Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara has secured a 4th term following the election which was held a few days ago. And guess what? In the build up to the election, 2 of his biggest challengers were disqualified, or they were barred from running that election. Now he has won. And it appears like African leaders have this very sit-tight mentality where once somebody gets to power, the person wants to remain there forever. Why is this so in our continent? We'll take some calls before we get to have an intake from that very issue. 0803 221 6973 or 0803 827 6694. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for calling.
Good morning, my speaker. Olisa Mbeki.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Chisom. Honorable Idenze, Mayor, Okulora.
All right, go on.
This morning from Awada. Can I go on?
Go on, sir.
Yes. First of all, something I want to commend you for your analysis this morning. Made a very wonderful analysis. So let me quickly say that what is happening PDP, the way things are going, I see handwriting on the wall that somebody is trying to use Lamido to disorganize PDP more. Then, in the Kanu case, Olisa Mbeki, you made many points. But what I want to say in earnest is that that man, the Kanu, I see him knowing Nigerian law very well, and you know why he did not enter any place. Because even the way he was repatriated to the country, the way all the allegations, none of them has been proved. The other time they brought some people marked in the court with them. You know, the way they are going about his case. So I support what he did. I knew him to be a very wise man. I knew that he have good lawyers that they are advising to look forward. The only thing I'm happy about is this thing is going about that thing. You don't prolong it again the way it's been prolonged. Then, African countries, I don't know if I will support the American man or UK man who African man is not yet matured to govern themselves. Look at Serbia. So, I'm not so angry with what is happening in Cameroon because what happened with the Ahmadiyya with the Christians over there. So I don't know whether it's benefit.
All right. Thank you.
Now. So let me...
Thank you for calling. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Someone calling from Olisa.
Okay, go on.
The Cameroonian president, 92 years, 8th time in office. That is criminal. I don't see why somebody would just, take advantage of being a president and you want to be there till you die. It's not unfortunate that people in Cameroon that they don't have say in such things because if you react, the next is for the police and the other law enforcement agents to arrest you. It's 92 years and you're still in power. He wants to die in the office before he will not make way for the younger ones to take over. That is what you see in Africa. Mobutu Seko did his own when he was there. And at the end of the day, we saw how everything conspired. That's fine. All I know is that Africa, we will have a long way to go. Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
I love your analysis.
All right. Thank you. I think in Cameroon, they have one term of 7 years. So if he's going to complete this very next term, he might be close to 100 by the time he's... Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, your name?
This is the voice of Honorable from our Kingdom.
Go on, Mr. Ignatius.
Good morning. You're welcome, Honorable Ignatius.
My speaker, I'm not happy. What my brother and my son now is doing. He had a good case. I follow this case for onset. All what they are accused of, they deny it. Once the court found you that you have to face, what you face? They dare you. See, they accuse you of making a statement, broadcast that any to took us as a Monday to be killed. That's why they killed good luck. But Greg was killed on Sunday. They already did the court there. Police report, personal report, was killed on Monday, on Sunday, not on Monday. They accuse him of Governor Himo State, said that it was Nankano, I do that killing the people in Imo State. They said it open there in the court. The group said that he was not in Nankano, so he was not IPOD, but politicians. They accused him of the cat he made that police station to respond. They asked the agents, where the police? Tell the police that was on by the people. They could not say anything. Even the accused him of what happened in Lagos. Sir, that is the Bugatti made a start, made start attacking some people in Lagos. The governor of Lagos set a panel. In the panel, Nathan was not mentioned. All these things was there. If they said they use human body to make people soup in one forest, they asked the DHS where the pot of people soup. They could not bring. You snap it, they could not bring. They said they bought broadcasting machine from London, from overseas. They bring the paper, they pattern it. The Nathan was not there. The only case they have against Nathan is what is there against Paris, which is only fine or 2 years imprisonment. Why did he keep moved?
All right.
I don't know why he refused his lawyers. He said that all these things, all that crime of, he has denied them. I don't know.
All right.
He has no case to answer. So let me allow the lawyers to do anything to get out of this matter. Thank you. I'm done.
All right. Thank you for joining. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, my speakers.
Good morning, your name?
Yeah, my name is Honorable Chimogome. I come from Agruzigo.
Go on, sir.
Yeah, there's what Olisa Mbeki said here. I just want to ask a question. As both of you have talked about the Cameroonian president and all that, what was it like in Nigeria here, where we have democracy changing from one party to another? What have we gained as we enter from PDP to APC? What we gain any change? What I want to say is that if Cameroon and the other country did not have the issue of terrorism or disturbance from their president, let the demand do. Let the age is just a number. But what I want to tell them is that if the man will still win for another terror, let them allow him to rule. Because I don't want, like in Nigeria here, where we are suffering here, changing from one business to another. I don't see anything again. So let me say something straight from the security here in Nigeria. What I want to say here is that, like in Nigeria, a terrorist bought a drone, and we are here. I've been demanding for compensation from the people from Sokoto State, and we have. What I want to ask is because like Olisa Mbeki said here, you also if it is in the military rule, that all this thing will not be happening. Do we not have military in this regime? All these chief judges, are they not at work? They don't have anything to do or to do to these terrorists. Or they are just to let them because it is a civilian and it is a democratic system. No, they have to work. They have to act and they fight for the terrorists. Doing all these things is that not because of democracy, but because they are paving a way for terrorists to overthrow Nigeria. This is what I saw here.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we'll take our time to respond to that. Hello, good morning. Okay, try again. 0803 221 6973 or 0803 827 6694. Good morning. Hello.
I am grading Zapatego, cruising the airwaves from Osmo.
Okay, go on, grading.
It is Nigeria that should be tried, not Mazen Nandikano. All whatever Nigeria is doing in this matter with Mazen Nandikano is pure intimidation. Politically motivated. I ask this question. Tony, what is the difference between what Buhari did against Omar Diko in 1983 to 1984 and what Buhari did against Mazen Nandikano by abducting the two? How was that of Omar Diko treated? And how is that that of Mazen Nanikano being treated. Whatever that is happening between Nigeria and Mazen Nanikano is pure intimidation, not justice, not court process. It is pure. I mean, I stand on the way Mazen Nanikano. He said he has nothing to. Why did Nigeria invade his house? In the Supreme Court said Nigeria erred on 3 occasions. To have invaded his house, number 1. To have cancelled his bail, number 2. To have abducted him from Kenya to Nigeria. Those 3 errors by Nigeria. How is Nigeria punished? Nigeria has lost the case. Whatever they are doing on Martin Nandekano, it is pure implementation, which has been going on since 1967 to against Igbos. Yes, I was opportunity to read the comment of Kowan on 17th October 2025. We was all pleading and calling for Igbos to forget and forgive. And this man is being treated for seeking self-determination, which is not against Africa, against the world. Other people have been doing it. Okay, now.
All right. Okay, so you have to wrap up.
This witness came and said that President Nankone gave him this weapon.
All right. Thank you for your thoughts. Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Franklin.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, my lady Anda. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for the
your line is bad.
You need to move around. The network is really bad from your
sorry.
end.
I think you have to call back because your line was very, very muffled. We could barely hear you. Good morning. Okay, so I think we have to go to our Facebook page after this very call. Good morning.
Wonderful morning to you.
Okay.
Franklin.
Yes, good morning. Quickly, your name?
Doctor, good morning, and Chisom, good morning. Honorable Dick, I'm calling from Onitsha.
Okay, go on,
to
DK.
the point here. For Bia, how many years have Vladimir Putin stayed in as the Russian president? Xi Jinping, how many years have he been there as Chinese president? Kim Jong-un of North Korea, how many years have he been there? I don't have problem with Mobia being there for eternity. How many Cameroonians is trading in Osanja here? Many Cameroonian citizens of Cameroon is trading in the market. But you see Nigerians in Ghana, Nigerians in Somalia, Nigeria in Cameroon, sometimes it's xenophobic against them in South Africa. Let's be realistic for once. You can see the things that, the economy is far, far better than Nigeria. Whether he's ruling for eternity, what you need is to deliver democratic dividends. Is he delivering democratic dividends? Is Cameroonians hungry? Are they not, their educational system, is it not far better than Nigerians' own? I mean, these things will tell you that anybody trying to undermine or be, so I don't subscribe to someone being in power.
All right.
Infinito.
All right. Thank you.
But the fact remains that
Thank you.
they have
Thank
done
you.
well and
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for understanding. Well, Chinese President Xi Jinping has been in power for 12 years, since 2013. You talk about Russian President Vladimir Putin. He's been in power for, I think, that should be 13 years. Sorry, not 13 years, 25 years. That's how long he's been in power. He's been in power, sorry. Okay, so let's see our Facebook page.
Now let's go to Facebook. Our handle is Udala Radio 104.7. And Bartholomew Inede says, as for the state creation, the stakeholders from Southeast should prove their worth by attracting that important additional state to the East. Nnamdi Kanu has become an institution, and he's absolutely right that the Nigerian government does not have anything against him, especially jurisdiction to try him, since the broadcast is done in London. Nigeria does not have the jurisdiction to try him. He says, I am sure the people will prefer to listen to the bandits more than the voice of the government, simply because the bandits are closer to them. They can kill them at will, and the government cannot protect them. I am waiting for the day this present government will declare full war on bandits and flush them out. But say such may never come, as the fight against the bandits is a fight against northerners, as the elites believe. Godswill Okoye says, if Nigeria is a civilized country without corruption, Kano shouldn't have still been in detention. My question is this: Isn't it same Nigerian court that discharged him before? They are arguing or judging him under Terrorism Act without seeing him with arms, but went ahead and negotiated with terrorists with sophisticated arms. I guess that's what you mean to say. We see you Okoyangole, we see you Colombo Chima Obioma. Celestine John Paul, Nigeria has no case against Nnamdi Kanu. Kenyan court had already ruled that Kanu was extraordinarily rendited from Kenya, which proved that Nigerian court has no jurisdiction to try him. Let me ask Tony Mbeki, can a prosecutor establish a prima facie in a court that has no jurisdiction to hear the case? They should channel their energy to combating bandits and terrorists who are demanding for millions of ransom. Nwore Chikwadorom says, critically, I love the decision taken yesterday by Nnamdi Kanu because the federal government doesn't have serious or concrete proof that can lead to his trial. And we should remember that some time ago, he was, I'm trying to find your comment again. He was acquitted. And he says, "For be a Jesus Nike." And Amy, it's obvious that Kanu's case is politically motivated, not for the merit of it. PDP is making a mockery of itself since they decided to make a one man their chief financier. He will always dictate to them what to do. African leaders are worse than the colonial masters, especially those who are once in opposition. AU will not speak now, but if there is any form of coup, they will go gun blazing, calling for restoration of so-called democratically elected government. Eke Gona Smadweke says the Nigerian government is busy putting more charges on Nnamdi Kanu's file. People are suffering in the hands of bandits in the north. Okay. He also thinks that Bobia should let the younger generation take care of the country. Achalike Zimuzo says, if Nnamdi Kanu failed to enter defense in the next court sitting, what would be the action of the court? Is the judge going to pass judgment right away? These are some of the comments we have on Facebook.
Okay, so Tony, I think we have to use this issue of what is happening in some African countries to wrap up. We mentioned Paul Biya, who has won, another term, and he's going to serve out for another 7 years term or 7-year term, whereas he's already 92. Then in Ivory Coast, Lassana Ouattara. People are talking about Ouattara because Ouattara, if you recall that in 2010, the international community, the whole of Africa, came together to support him to ensure that they push out Laurent Gbagbo, because Gbagbo wanted to hold on to power. He wanted to do everything to make himself live president in Ivory Coast, and the world came behind Ouattara. Don't forget that Ouattara is a former managing director of International Monetary Fund. They came together to support him to ensure that Gbagbo was pushed out. Now, he has amended the constitution in several ways to be able to perpetuate himself in power. He has won the 4th term, and even before this election, all those his biggest challengers, he ensured that they were barred from contesting, and the coast became clear for him, and he went contested and he won. Now, some persons called and said, why would we be preoccupied with what is happening in Cameroon? Irrespective of the number, say the man has stayed there. If they're getting dividends from democracy, why should we worry? After all, Putin, Xi Jinping, they're all there, and they'll be staying in power for quite a long time. So let's see how you weigh in before we get to leave.
Just like you mentioned, we have many politicians who have been in power for 25 good years, since 1999, that are still in power in one way or the other. Some of them are in executive power, some of them are in legislative power, and some of them are in other forms of power.
Moving from one office to another.
Definitely, if it looks like class of 99, which our president is part of it, though one would say there was a time he was out of power, that immediately after 2007 he was out of power, from 2007 down to 2023 when he came back to power. But then there are those who were in National Assembly as a senator. They have been in power. We have the sit-tight mentality. I've not seen anybody who has come in to serve 4 years or 8 years and leaves the scene for other people to also bring in their own plans for development. And some of these men that have been in power from 1999, I wonder what they will bring in new what is that they couldn't achieve that they want to achieve at this time? And they have perpetuated themselves there by acquiring more wealth. They are stupendously rich. They have properties scattered all over the world, and that's the kind of democracy they are bringing in. Then you are talking about what is happening in Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast is a very lovely place to be if you have gone to some of his cities, very lovely cities. But I'm aware, just like you say, that Laurent Gbagbo was in power from 2000 to 2011 when he was trying to remain in power perpetually. So it is important that we understand that Alassane Ouattara has come in, and then from that period to now, and he's still there. So what do you expect? What about Rwanda? You people are talking about Paul Biya. Kagame has been there. So you can go on and talk about so many of them. But one would say Kagame has reformed Rwanda. He has brought this. Rwanda is a digital state. It's one of the thriving countries in the world. Remember I said earlier on that Rwanda is very small in terms of landmarks compared to Southeast. So the point remains that there are those. In fact, it's better for these people to start convert to monarchical system. Let them be kings. We must address him as King Paul Biya, not president. Because if you go to UK, Elizabeth was there for a very long time till she died. So let them convert to monarchs, and we address them as the king and queens instead of being called president or not.
And maybe like Tony said, monarchical. Maybe after his time, it becomes his son, the turn of his son. Chisom will have to leave.
Well, I don't know if this is a black man's problem. When you talk about countries like China and Korea and the rest of them, look at their developmental strides. And besides, when you look at the ages of these men and the quality of people they surround themselves with, you know better than to juxtapose what they have over there with what we have in Africa. And until we are ready to break free, we won't. And like we pointed out earlier, you can now pick up your voter card till Sunday. Now make out time to go get that. That's where your biggest power lies in this democracy.
Okay, thank you everyone for listening. We're going to be here again tomorrow. My name is Franklin and Ebuka. Good morning.
Udala Radio, 104.7 FM.
Abe Omeliada, Abe Omeliada, Abe. The great community leader, your provision of land for empowerment of communities is now a reality. The Community Empowerment Opportunity CEO program by Cal